Good morning, everyone. Just woke up a little bit ago. Got my rig all squared away. Getting ready to dash out of here. Devil's Tower in the background. This is a beautiful campground. Unfortunately, I rolled in a little late last night. I didn't quite get to enjoy it. But had a good place to sleep. Had a great shower. Walked around a little bit. One of the things they do at this campground is they show Close Encounters of the Third Kind every single night in the shadow of Devil's Tower. So it's pretty cool. You're watching the screen and right you can see the silhouette of Devil's Tower right above the screen. So I went ahead and made a cup of coffee. I'm ready to hit the road here. I'm headed to Livingston, Montana to go visit a German friend. And what a great night's sleep. Last night I got about 7 hours sleep, which is the most I've had, I think, since my first night in my buddy's driveway. And that always helps with driving. So anyhow, not much to report. Nice campground here at the base of Devil's Tower. I'm on the road again, and this is the furthest west I'm going, and then I'm going to start making my way east. Can see some of the terrain I'm coming across as I'm headed to I-90 from the Devil's Tower. I was in the Black Hills just going up and down, and all of a sudden I hit this flat plain area. Pretty cool. Headed to I-90. Wow, what a beautiful morning here as I'm driving. It's a little overcast, actually a lot overcast, but not too bad. There is sun peeking out here and there, but I want to show you what I'm driving across. I'm driving across Wyoming right now, headed to Montana, and this is what I have. And you can see the spots of sun up there on the hills a little bit, and the speed limit here is 80. I'm doing 75, kind of keeping pace with this truck in front of me, and it's just such different terrain than what I had over there in the Black Hills. This is just flat. You can see for miles when you're up high, and it's pretty stellar, And I guess there's no words for it really. I'm stumbling for words here, but it's a beautiful, beautiful ride. This is the one thing about driving like this. It's very easy driving. When you're on these straightaways, although there's some curves like I got coming up right now, when you're on these long straightaways, it's very easy driving, albeit it can be a little boring sometimes. So you got to entertain yourself. Now, what do? I have Apple Music, which I have a lot of songs already on my iPhone. I also have Sirius, and between the two, it keeps me pretty entertained, because on Sirius I can bring up a news station, things like that, along with music. So here we go, coming up on top of this little hill, rounding these little curves, continuing on through Wyoming. So hey everybody, well, I just crossed into Montana, and this is the state, this is the furthest west I'm going. And it's unbelievable that just by crossing the state line, the terrain changes. Here, it's like these nice, long, rolling hills. And I'm not saying it's for the whole state, but just where I am right now. And it's pretty cool. The amount of different terrain I have seen since leaving Massachusetts is unbelievable. And what happened is I went through this construction zone toward the end of Wyoming, and as soon as we get out of the construction zone, boom, I was in Montana. And the sign was right there, but it came up so quick that I couldn't pull over. I really wanted to get a picture at the sign, but I wasn't able to do that because it came up so quick. So now I'm just driving along, and it's nice that I finally entered the state, that as it is at the end of my road trip before I start heading either south or east. And if I do go south, it'll be basically southeast, as I'm going to be pointing back toward Massachusetts. And I've made some really, really great time coming out here. I left on Sunday, drove to Cleveland, spent the next day in Cleveland, which would be Monday, and then I drove on to Iowa on Tuesday. And Wednesday night, I was camping out at Devil's Tower after going to the Badlands. And now, here it is on Thursday, and I've reached Montana. So that's not bad. That's pretty good driving. I feel good. I'm just going to continue on. But check this out. This terrain is just beautiful. I love it with the hills and the trees and everything. It's pretty, pretty country. Real pretty. Okay, so I decided to make a stop at the Little Bighorn Battle Memorial Site. And it's just like a mile or two off of I-90. So how could you pass that up? And I just arrived here. See my van sitting over there. And look at this. I'm going to get some information here, as I'm not sure what I'm looking at yet. All right, so I got the lowdown. What I need to do is take my van, and the battlefield goes way up there about 5 miles. So that's where the Bighorn battle was, about 5 miles in. So I'm going to take my van, turn it around, and take a ride up. And then I go ahead and do the tour while out there. Now, these gravestones I just looked at, though that's a national cemetery that has nothing to do with the Battle of Little Bighorn. That's a lot of cemeteries that were out on the frontier, different battle areas, and they moved all the graves to here. So that has nothing to do with the Battle of Little Bighorn. So I got enough information. I got a little map here, and apparently there is a big monument out there to the battle. So what the ranger told me, the park ranger, was that my best bet is to drive out all the way 5 miles. This is a driving tour, so I can see, you can see a car pulled up here, and they have information placards or whatever you want to call them, so that you can read them. You can pull up and read them. So what I'm going to do is drive out 5 miles, because what she was saying is that's where you should start the tour, and that is actually at the Little Bighorn battle proper. Now, with that said, at the beginning of this, or the end, whatever you want to call it, which I just passed, is an area called the Last Stand. So I'm not sure what that means, you know? So we'll find out. But look at this country. I can't imagine being out here on horseback in the middle of nowhere, you know, doing this kind of thing. It's unbelievable. This was just a random thing. I was driving down the highway, I saw an advertisement for it, and I figured I'd check it out. So it's a national memorial site, which is run by the National Park System, and I was able to use my access pass, which I got when I turned a certain age, and I was able to get in for free. So you gotta love it. This area was occupied by troops A, B, D, G, H, K, and M companies of the 7th U.S. Cavalry and the pack train when they were besieged by the Sioux Indians June 25th and 26th of 1876. All right, so I don't know much about the battle area, but I do know that this is an area where one of the companies was besieged, or a bunch of the companies, they were all besieged, I guess. Gonna have some placards up here, check them out. Down here you can see the little Bighorn River. So basically it's just saying there was Reno skirmish line warrior attack. Because what happened is Custer separated his troops and they got caught off guard. Reno occupies a defensive position in these trees down here. Warriors soon penetrate the woods, convincing Reno that the position is untenable. After fighting for 30 minutes, he retreats back across the Little Bighorn, which is this river that you can see. I'm trying to point it out, but it's right in front of the trees at the bottom of these hills. And you can see during Reno's retreat from the timber, Crazy Horse, Wooden Leg, and Black Elk, and perhaps as many as 600 warriors chased the soldiers across the Little Bighorn River. Reno's casualties are 40 men killed and 13 wounded. The remnants of his command occupy a new position on the bluffs here where we were standing. So they came right up the middle and then occupied a position here. Now we're going to walk out and see what we have out here. Being a cavalry soldier way out in the middle of here, and you're with 175 troops, and all of a sudden you get 600 warriors swooping down on you. And they know this terrain better than anyone. And you know, this is tough fighting ground, without a doubt. And if you're down in that bowl and the warriors are coming down upon you, you're done. You're done. So, but I believe I'm getting a gist of this battle. Here you see a couple graves here. Thomas Meter and Julian Jones. Company H, 7th Cavalry, both. And I think I'm getting a gist of the battle. See, Reno, Custer separated his forces, which was a major blunder. His intent was to surround the warriors. And unfortunately, the warriors were onto it, and they attacked Reno's companies, his units, and cornered him down here. Now here's another monument. We'll see what it says. So Kanku Hanska Long Road, a Sanzak Sioux warrior, died here on June 26th while defending his homeland in the Sioux way of life. So this is a memorial to the Sioux warrior. Look at this landscape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk back to the van, and this is the farthest reach of the battle. Meanwhile, Custer was dealing with his own ordeal at the beginning of this whole thing. And I passed through it, but I wanted to start on the farthest reaches. So when I drive back, I'll drive back to an area that they call the Last Stand. It's unbelievable to be out here. I grew up listening to these stories, and you know, we all heard about the Little Bighorn Massacre, as it was called at one time, and now it's the Battle of the Little Bighorn, because let's face it, those warriors surrounded Custer because they wanted to take him out because of the atrocities that he was allegedly committing. So what we'll do, we're gonna head up here and see what some of those placards say. But those placards are all basically little skirmishes they were having of evading troops encountering the natives, along with yeah, so my path cuts down here. You can see you come in all the way down, back up through here, then back down through here. So I grew up with these accounts, and you know, they really wanted to take out Custer. And my understanding is that they pierced his ears with awls so that he may hear the screams of the women and children that he had murdered. I don't know if that's, you know, that you hear these things, but here you get a different view of Rennie's retreat, where he came out of the woods and crossed the little Bighorn and then went up this way. So on this ridge right here, that's where Custer first viewed the village, and he wanted more information on how many were in that encampment, so he started moving further north. So this is interesting. This one talks about how after a brief encounter, Custer's two companies retreat up the ravine to my right, or your right, known as the Deep Coulee. So basically there's a ravine that goes this way, and then they headed to the high ground, which is that point down there in the distance, a half mile down, being chased by these warriors. So this knoll here was contested by both the Indians and the soldiers, and they say that Company C may have, it indicates that Company C occupied this position since bodies of a couple sergeants, Finkel and Finley, were found here. But here we see a couple graves here marking. Now those are just markers. I don't think they're buried here. Like it says, your soldier 7th Cavalry fell here. So these are where they fell and the bodies were found, but the bodies are not buried here. So you got to imagine that this battle took place over a few miles. It didn't just take place in one area, meaning where Custer's last stand took place. So that's a memorial for all the horses that were killed here in the 7th Cav. But I'm walking across to what I believe is the official monument. You'll see what we have over here. But this is the big one, I think. Has all the soldiers' names who died. So where I am right now, this is Last Stand Hill. And this is where Custer, and I believe it says 41 men, I'll confirm that, made their last stand against the warriors who had combined different nations and besieged them. And what they did is, meaning the government or whomever, the burial details, put all the bodies in one mass grave, because by the time they found the bodies, it wasn't a pretty scene. And they'd been out here in the sun. It wasn't like they found them the next day. So this is what we have. You can see there's a lot of markers here where soldiers fell. I'm sure Custer's is out there. I think I see one. Hi. Yeah, you can see the one in the middle here that has a black background. So this is where the last stand took place in the Battle of Little Bighorn, which extended all the way down here, way down, and came all the way up here on both sides. And this road that I've been on cuts right through it and takes you down to the end. And here we have the memorial in memory of officers and soldiers who fell near this place fighting with the 7th United States Cavalry against Sioux Indians on the 25th and 26th of June, AD 1876. All these names up there. And at the top, Brevet Major General Custer. So basically what it's saying is that the remains of about 220 soldiers are buried in a mass grave at the base of this memorial. And the white marble headstones that you see everywhere over the battlefield denote where those troopers were found and originally buried. In 1881, they were reinterred into a single grave on this site. It says here that General Custer was buried at West Point. You can see the memorial right here, as I've shown you already, the backside. And this battlefield, wow. I can't imagine. But hey, what a great visit here to Little Bighorn. Like I said, it was just off I-90, and I believe that's I-90 going by right down here. You can see the highway going right up, and that's where I'm getting back on right now. I've had a pretty good time here. I think I'll stop at the visitor center, get a sticker, just so I have something. And if you like this video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel. All the best to all, and happy adventures.